Hey BFFs, it's time to get started with the rest of our program. It's a tradition of BFF to recognize any of our first-time guests or new members joining us today. I invite all of our new members and guests to please stand so we can recognize you and give you a warm BFF welcome. New members and guests? All right. I'd also like to recognize all of our generous sponsors and supporters. When I announce your name, I ask all representatives from the company to please stand and remain standing until all the names are read, and we'll hold our applause until the end. They are our presenting sponsor, Whittier Rehabilitation Hospital, our partnership sponsor, Oasis Wealth Advisors, a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, supporting sponsor, Cedar Law and Webster 5, our coffee sponsor, Leduc Art and Antiques, and special thanks to our BFF friends and supporters of today's event, USRA Reception and Event Catering, Event Center, and Sirloin Catering is our delicious caterer, and Karen Henderson of Westboro Cable TV. Please join me in giving them all a warm applause. Unfortunately, Becky Roman from Whittier Rehabilitation Hospital was unable to join us to say a few words as our presenting sponsor. However, we are grateful for their continuous and generous support. It's now my pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Emmy Monticelli, CEO and founder, Momentum Leadership Solutions, Inc. Emmy is a certified leadership and mindfulness coach, facilitator, and consultant with over 20 years of experience in talent management, developing leaders, trainers, and employees. Her upbringing amidst a family-owned business combined with her field leadership and corporate experience help her to understand the different needs and challenges among various organizational structures and cultures. After spending over 15 years in the corporate sector, Emmy started Momentum Leadership Solutions, a leadership coaching and development company where she develops leaders and managers at all levels across a variety of industries, including finance, banking, insurance, manufacturing, healthcare, sales, service, higher education, and technology. She works with for-profit and nonprofit organizations on finding solutions that fit their specific organization's leadership and learning needs. As an experienced leader herself, Emmy understands the challenges of today's managers and leaders. This understanding, combined with her authentic, practical approach, allows her to connect and engage with various audiences effortlessly. Known for her transformational learning events and engaging delivery style, Emmy creates awareness and delivers a powerful message that inspires others to take positive, productive action, leading to more effective relationships and results. She is passionate about providing leaders with relevant tools and strategies that are easily applied to enhance communication, relationships, and performance while minimizing stress and burnout. In addition to designing and facilitating her own programs, she also facilitates a number of courses for the Association of Talent Development. Emmy is a professional certified coach through ICF, a certified professional coach through IPEC, and certified professional in talent development through the Association of Talent Development. She is also certified in several other assessment and development tools, including DISC, Emotional Intelligence, and 360 assessments, as well as Core Energy Leadership, to name a few. Emmy holds a master's degree in business administration, along with a bachelor's degree in marketing and communications from Assumption University. As a mom of an 11 and 12-year-old, when Emmy is not facilitating or coaching, she's either outside with her family, driving them to extracurricular activities, or cleaning up after them. Please join me in welcoming to the podium, Emmy Monticelli.
Thank you for that, Pam. And if I knew you had to read all of that, I would totally cut it out because that's so boring. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Can everybody hear me like this? Yeah, okay, great. I'm so glad to be here with all of you today. It's just really nice to connect in person. It's totally different energy and connection when we can come together like this. So I also want to thank Quarter 9495 for putting this on. Again, can we give them a round of applause? So I think it's safe to say that we have all been through a lot the past 2.5 years. right? As business owners, as leaders, we have had to juggle a lot of different responsibilities and a lot of uncertainties around COVID. And then we had to do it in our personal lives as well, right? Did anyone else have to struggle with figuring out how to work remotely at home? Anybody? Did anyone else have to figure out how to work at home remotely with your partner or husband or spouse or roommate? Anybody? Me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was hard. My husband and I had adjoining offices, and he'd constantly yell at me like, "You're too loud, will you shut up?" And I'm like, "This is my job, you're too loud, won't you shut up?" And so he found himself in the basement. Literally in the basement. He built his office down in the basement to get away from me. But I do feel like he belongs down there. Did anybody have to suffer through helping their kids with remote learning? Okay, so 3rd and 4th grade math, hardest thing I've ever done. Literally the most stressful thing for me during COVID. Julia, did you have to suffer through that? I'm sorry. And then on top of that, we had to maybe even help with our, loved ones. People who are having a really hard time with COVID, with health, right? I was taking care of people, and I was like, I don't even like this person. Why am I taking care of them? So we had a lot going on. And in addition to that, we had our regular day-to-day stuff, like keeping the house afloat, right? Like we were trying to keep everything afloat while we were dealing with all of this chaos. We've been through a lot, and I think it's really important that we acknowledge that, and we're still going through it. So what I want you to do right now is turn to your neighbor, and I want you to say, "Congratulations, you made it through it." Wonderful, great job. So a lot of times my clients will ask me, "Emmy, how do you keep it all together? How do you stay so calm, when we're dealing with all this stress?" And I laugh and I say, "They really don't know me." And then I smile and I say, "Wine." I drink a lot of wine. Now I use humor. Humor is one of my coping mechanisms to get through stress. And I'm not gonna lie, on a Friday night, I might have a glass or 2 or 4 to help me unwind from a hectic week. I do not think that alcohol is a great coping mechanism. It actually does the opposite for us, okay? But what I will say is that I was raised by a very strong woman with a really strong work ethic. And that's one of my things, it's one of my greatest strengths. She taught me how to power through and get things done. So I pride myself on that. I pride myself on getting her done, powering through things. I am known for saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna sweep this under the rug, and I'll deal with it later." But what happens when later comes? What happens? It gets worse. What did you say?
It's a big pile.
It's a big pile. That rug is like 5 feet high, right? It gets really high. What happens when the rug gets that high?
More stressful.
So we're getting more stress. And then think about it. What are some things that you're doing when you're stressed? And we're all stressed.
More wine.
More wine. We start ordering it on Prime. I don't know, can you order wine on Prime?
Sure,
That's dangerous.
There you go.
But think about it. When you're stressed, what do? So, cool. I love that one. So you're complaining. Yeah. What else? Crying. Oh, totally. I'm so jealous of those people who, when they're stressed, they lose weight, because I'm just the opposite. I'm snacking, right? Because I'm drinking my wine, and I'm like, "Oh, what would go good with this wine?" I'm like, "Oh, cheese." And then what would go good with this cheese? Oh, crackers, right? So it's the snacking, not unconsciously. Do any of you ever say things that you don't mean when you're stressed? I do. I'll admit it, right? I think we're human. It's important to recognize that we're human and some of these things happen to us. Excuse me. And so it's also important to remember, I'm not going to bore you with all the statistics about what stress does to us, but it is important to remember that when we're not dealing effectively with stress, that it has such a detrimental impact on our physical health, our mental health, emotional health, and our entire well-being. So it's really important that we are keeping our stress in check. Now, there's a difference. There's good stress out there, and then there's bad stress out there. And it's up to us to find the balance. Stress is a lot like an elastic band. So you can take those stress ball homes with you, and you'll notice that there's an elastic band around them too. Stress is a lot like an elastic band. So when you have just an elastic band just hanging out like this, it's just dangling around. It's not really doing its thing. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's not working at its fullest capacity. An elastic band needs a little tension. It needs a little tension to do what it was meant to do, right? So you wrap that elastic band around something, and it's working at its fullest potential, its fullest capacity. But what happens when you pull the band way too tight? It breaks and it snaps, just like us. So that's how I want you to feel about your stress and think about your stress. That we need a little tension, we need a little stress to get us up in the morning, right? We need it to help us reach our full potential. But we can't pull the elastic so much or pull ourselves so tight that we snap and that we break. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some healthy coping mechanisms for you and for other people out there. There's the snacks. There's your cake. Good timing. I'll pay you for that later. So we're going to go ahead and talk today about some really simple things, because I feel like this world has gotten so complicated. I feel like we even complicate things for ourselves, right? And I think sometimes we just need to go back to basics and remember, simple is always best. And in keeping with simplicity, I want you to remember the ABCs of dealing with stress mindfully, okay? The A is for acknowledging. So just like anything else in our life is just having an awareness. Having an awareness of what are our activators, what is stressing us out, how are we showing up. The B is for breathe, and we're going to do some breathing exercises in just a little bit. How many of you think you know how to breathe? Okay, that's scary. Hands are going up. We're going to make sure you know how to breathe by the end of this, all right? And then, because when we breathe, it gets us in a better place, a more grounded place, to make better decisions and better choices of how we can move through that stress. That's what today's all about. I'm not going to give you any brand new spanking things of how to eliminate stress. What we want to do is minimize it, all right? I'm also a realist. And so we're not going to get rid of all of our stress, but there is a way that we can manage that stress in the moment, and that's what we're going to talk about today as well. But I want to break some of these down. So on your handout, during your table talks, you talked about what stressed you out. What were some of those things that are stressing you out? Yes, Julia. Time. Oh my God. I wish, if I just had another 12 hours to a day. 24. I don't even know if that would be enough, right? Yep, so time. What else? Stress. Weather. Me too. If it's a rainy day, I am in such a bad mood.
Right.
I give way too much control and power.
If it's sunny, I'd be smiling all day long.
Can I just ask you a question? Is it you?
Yeah.
Do you still wear your sunglasses when it's raining?
No.
Because I think you should. I think that's great.
Actually, I have the dryness in my eyes, and I'm very sensitive.
Yep.
And I sometimes do.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. Plus, it looks fabulous. You're welcome. So, all right. So we're talking about time. We're talking about weather. What else? Kids. If I had known how stressful they would be, I don't know if I'd have. I'm just kidding, I love my children. Really. So kids, husbands, partners, my mother-in-law. Anybody have a mother-in-law that stresses them out? All the time for me. So it's important as you're looking at this list, and I don't want you to throw this list away, because this is part of what's creating awareness for you. This is not an exhaustive list either. There might be other things that are stressing you out that you need to come to terms and create some awareness around. But it's important that we compartmentalize. Is it external? Is the stress that I'm feeling right now being caused by something that's external, outside of me? Or am I causing this stress on myself? Is it more internal? When you think about the stress that's in your life right now, because stress ebbs and flows, right? Some days you're feeling, so light, you're just gliding along. Other days you feel super heavy. So it's important to be thinking about how would you categorize your stress? So when you think about where you are right now, is your stress coming externally or internally? And you don't have to tell me. Part of creating awareness is doing a lot of self-reflection. I just want you to think about, am I causing this stress? I will be completely honest with you. I am a self-imposed stressed maker. I impose most of the stress on myself. I have really high expectations of myself and others, and I've had to let go of that. And I think everything needs to be done right now. I've had to let go of that too. So a lot of my stress is self-imposed. And there's ways that we can handle and manage and navigate through that as well. So number one, find out what activates your stress. And then we try to minimize some of those things, right? It takes conscious effort. It takes definitely intentional effort to say, okay, this is causing me stress. How am I gonna move forward with this? Once we have a better idea and more awareness around what our stress activators are, we need to then figure out how is it showing up in me. And then we're compartmentalizing this as well. How does it show up within me emotionally? How am I feeling when I'm stressed? And it could be different. It could be different based on the situation, based on the time. But how am I showing up emotionally when I'm stressed? Is it overwhelmed? Am I sad? Am I feeling withdrawn? Really important to connect with that. It's also important to connect with where are you mentally? Like, what is stress doing to you when, in terms of your mental capacity?
Seems appropriate, the music.
Yeah, I know. I was like, cute.
Just me?
Yeah, I know. Is that playing, the music playing in my head?
So.
So for me, I'm just going to use myself as an example. When I get super stressed, the self-imposed stress, or any type of stress, I get in this mode where it's like, okay, I got to get this stuff done. And I'm like on power, almost driven like a motor, getting things done. And when I feel that motor in me, I'm like, I'm stressed. I need to do something right now. I can feel it. Anybody else experience anything different mentally? Anybody lose focus sometimes? It's hard to focus when we're stressed, right? It's hard to focus on your end game because we're getting so stressed about the details. Sometimes it's just about stopping and saying, let me pull back, let me gain perspective here, right? So it can really cloud our focus, our decision making. Then physiologically, how many of you stop when you feel stressed to find out and scan your body to feel like what's going on inside your body when you're stressed? Anybody? Yeah. If you're not doing that, I highly recommend it. Because our body tells us what we're thinking and feeling sometimes before we even have that awareness. So pausing throughout the day, there are times that even in my calendar, I'll put a minute pause throughout the day, a couple times a day, just to check in with myself and figure out where am I at right now. And I'll be like, oh, my neck is really tight. Or, oh, like my temples are really sore, right? Or, oh, I feel like I have something in my throat. These are all the physiological things that will come up for us in our body when it's experiencing stress. It's important to tap into that because your body will tell you. And then lastly, behaviorally. And I will tell you that this is the thing that usually comes up first, right? So we feel stressed and then we react to it. We're not responding, we're reacting. Because what's the difference between a reaction and a response?
Control.
Breath,
Intent, breath. Yeah, so the response, we're breathing and we're saying, okay, this is how I want to behave. So it is more intentional. Sure.
Choice.
The choice, you are choosing versus this is happening to me and now I'm just gonna it's a knee-jerk reaction, right? So we wanna make sure that we're responding to our stress so we're not saying things that we don't mean. So we're not making bad decisions or hurting someone's feelings or breaking trust. It's really important to be conscious and intentional around how we're behaving. I'll be completely transparent. So when I get stressed, who do you think gets the brunt of it? I'll give you a hint, he's living in the basement. Yes, my husband gets the brunt of it, right? Although this morning after he left, this is why I'm hoarse today, full disclosure. After he left and my kids left, I just like shouted. It felt really good. Does anybody ever do that? Yeah. You're like, ah! You want to try it right now? Go ahead. On 3. I just want you to yell. Get it all out of your system. 3, 2, 1. Ah! I also swear a lot. I would never swear in this type of a thing or at work, but swearing, sometimes you just feel so good, right? So find what works for you. Don't swear at other people, okay? But again, figure out what is showing up for you behavioral. How are you showing up? What are the actions when you are stressed? I also think it's really important, one of the things to do is remembering that it is okay to be stressed. We're human. We're wired to be stressed, right? It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel stressed. It's not okay to unpack here though. It's not okay to continually live like this if it's not working for you. So one question we can ask ourselves is, how is this stress serving me? How does it serve me in this moment? How is it serving other people that are around me? It's really important to be asking ourselves that. It is okay not to be okay. So now I want you to look at your other neighbor, and I want you to say, it's okay not to be okay. Go ahead, look at we get it all out of our system. So once we have more awareness of, what our stressors are, what's activating it, how we're showing up, and also, just so you know, it might show up differently depending on the stress. It might show up differently based on the situation. When I'm stressed with my mother-in-law, it shows up a lot differently than when I'm at work. So it's really important to take inventory of each situation that you are finding yourself in stress. Now we need to find our breath, because our breath helps to ground us. So I'm going to invite you all to participate in a couple of breathing activities. And what I do encourage you to do, if you can, is breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your nose. However, I also understand that can be hard for some of you. So just do what you can. I don't want you judging anything, right? We're not here to judge each other, let alone ourselves. So if you can breathe in and out through your nose, great. If not, do the best you can, okay? All right, so I'm going to invite you to sit comfortably in your chair, feet planted.
Unless you're really short.
Yeah, I have the same problem, vertically challenged. Feet planted on the floor. Get in a nice resting position, kind of straight posture. Place one of your hands on the top of your stomach, so right above your belly button. I also am going to invite you to close your eyes, get comfortable, don't go into a sleep coma, and just find the natural rhythm of your breathing. And as you connect with your breath, pay attention to where your stomach goes. When you inhale or breathe in, where is your stomach going? Is it expanding or getting bigger? Or is it contracting and going in? Continue finding your rhythm and paying attention to where your stomach is going as you breathe. All right, now I invite you to open your eyes. And I want you to raise your hand if when you inhaled, if your stomach went out. Congratulations, you're all breathing correctly. The rest of you, there's hope. But if I tell you to breathe and you're not breathing correctly, you're going to actually hyperventilate. All right, so this is why it's important to breathe. So think about this. Think about the analogy of a balloon. When you blow air into a balloon, what happens to the balloon? it goes out, it gets bigger, it expands, excellent, right? That's just like us. As we breathe in and oxygen comes in and goes through our lungs, it pushes out our stomach. And then when we exhale and the air comes out, or the carbon dioxide comes out, it contracts, it goes back in. Just like a balloon when you let the air out. That's what should be happening to our stomachs when we're breathing. So now, you feeling good that you know how to breathe? Yeah, okay. So if you're finding yourself in a stress situation, feeling a little anxiety, that is just a really quick technique. It takes less than a minute. Put your hand on your belly, figure out, find your breath. Find your breath. I'm gonna do another breathing activity, is that okay? Okay. What I'm gonna introduce you to now is the 4 square box method of breathing. So again, I'm gonna invite you to get in that very comfortable position. This time you can just put your hands right on top of your lap. You can face them up if you want, or down, whatever feels more comfortable to you. I just want to give you a little preview of what this one's going to be, okay? So what I'm going to ask you to do in just a second is you're going to breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, you're going to hold the breath for 4 seconds, you're going to exhale or breathe out for 4, and then you're going to hold at the bottom for 4 as well. All right, so that's the 4, 4, 4, 4. We're going to do that a couple of times. So again, I invite you to get comfortable, close your eyes, just connect with your breath right now. Find your breath, don't judge it. And on your next inhale, I want you to breathe in through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now just connect to your natural breath. Notice if you can do that rhythm by yourself. And I invite you all now to just gently open your eyes. How's everybody feeling? Are you sleeping? Everybody open their eyes. You're still with me. That's good. Again, a really quick technique that you can do in the moment. And when we breathe through our nose and we utilize this four box pattern way of breathing, what we're doing is we're actually sending the air down into the lower part of our lungs, which connects to our parasympathetic nervous system. I'm not going to bore you with the science, although I love it. What it's doing is it's helping you to get to a better response state versus reactive state. Breathing is essential to helping us move through our stress. It's really important to know how to breathe. Because what it will also do in the moment is to help us be in a place to make better choices. These are actually on your handout. If you flip to the next page in your handout, go ahead, come here with me now. Take a minute just to read through this list. So these are some quick coping mechanisms that we can do in the moment when we are feeling stressed. They're listed on the slide, they're also listed in this packet. And I want you to select the ones, just check them off. What are the ones that you're already doing? Or what are the ones that you're like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna try this? What are some of the mechanisms that will help you in the moment? Or what are you already doing that's helpful? You have one?
Yeah, actually, I work for Keller Williams and we're all about mindset and all that jazz, so, we have an expression that says, how to eat an elephant.
Yes.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
So that's it right here, break it down to smaller chunks. Like, don't think like, oh my God, this whole elephant you can, but just take a step.
Yeah.
Just take a step.
Of course it's hard to eat an elephant, right? But if you have it one bite at a time, it makes it so much more digestible. So thank you for that, Nancy. What else? What else are we already doing? Yes, Julia?
I add the word yet to a lot of
Yes.
things, like I haven't done it yet.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that it's never going to happen or that I won't accomplish it. It's just, it's a work in progress.
I love that. Not yet, but maybe someday. Good, I love that. Thank you for that. Did I see another hand? Christine?
Yeah, I like to find the humor and laugh. A friend was over for dinner and she said something I found really hard. So I looked at her and I said, 1% Emmy is listening to you, and we just burst out.
Finding the humor is essential, right? It really is, because we can always find the humor in it. It's essential to find the mechanism that works for you. And what works for, Julia and Christine might not work for me or Nancy. It's important to find what works for you. Nina?
I just focus on what I do,
Yeah.
which is interior design and drawing plans, which is very intricate and detailed.
Yes.
And that takes me away from
Yeah.
where I am.
Focusing in, compartmentalizing can be really helpful. Doing what you love, right, in that moment. It's really important. So I talk a lot about this in my management trainings, but it's really important to understand what energizes you and what stresses you out, right? What brings you energy? And in that moment, if you can, we need to shift to what we do enjoy. And we need to focus on what we can control. A lot of things are outside of our control. So it's really important to remember that mindset. Find what works for you in the moment. Don't compare it to other people. I've got friends that are out there and they're like, well, I'm this stressed. And they're like, well, I'm this stressed and I got all this. I'm like, it's not a competition, right? It's such a unique individual thing. Why are we competing? Like, let's just meet people where they're at. So that's the other thing. Meet yourself where you're at. It's okay to have a bad day. It is okay to be stressed, as we talked about earlier. Find something that's going to help balance that good stress with the bad stress. As Nancy mentioned, mindset is everything. The way we even view stress can be a positive or a negative on how we deal with stress. Just like anything else, our mindset around anything else can either create a good experience or a bad experience. So it's really important that we are constantly checking our mindset. When you take a look at this picture, what do you see?
Clouds.
Clouds, good. Water, okay. Grass.
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Anything else as you see this picture? So you're not sure what it is. Does this bring any emotions out in you as you look at this? What is it? Fake news? Hey, this is also interpretational, so it's all good. Yeah. To me, the obvious is when you look at this, right, you can see a little bit of those things in the picture. It also looks foggy. I feel like I need to keep looking back to see really what is this, right? That's our mindset. Because so many times we miss what is right in front of us because we get so focused on the bad. Now our brain is wired to go negative, right? But we get so focused on that one little thing that we're missing a beautiful field of sunflowers. And magically, I got the sunflower today. That's so kismet. So we're focused on the cloud in the back. We're like, oh no, here comes the cloud. It's gonna ruin my beautiful day, right? It's gonna rain on me. We get so focused on these little things that we're missing what is right in front of us. It's really important that we practice reframing, which is the last thing on that list of mechanisms. What are some ways that you reframe your mindsets?
You should think of whatever you look at the moment, and that's Zen. I
Yes.
read a book long time ago about Zen, which helps in stress, by the way.
Absolutely.
Like if I'm driving the car, I will look at the sceneries, and I don't think about what I'm thinking. I just look at the tree. I think about the tree only.
Yes.
I'm looking at the flower, I think about the flower only. So that takes you away from if you have a stress.
Yes, absolutely. I love what you're saying. I just don't recommend doing that when you're driving. But no, Lena is right. So the whole practice of observing, that's what Zen is all about. It's observing and not evaluating, not judging. We're wired to judge. We are wired to evaluate. What we need to do is sit, create space, sit, observe, and just say, what's going on? What do I see? What do I feel? Not that, oh, I'm feeling this, I feel really bad, right? Or it's not, oh, how pretty is that tree? That's evaluating. Whether it's positive or negative, it's still evaluating. Just observe. So that's a really big piece of reframing. What else do we need to do to reframe?
Laugh at yourself.
Oh, yes. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, why do we take ourselves so seriously? I don't understand it. Yes, what were you going to say?
So my engagement pictures are this Sunday, and it's the one cloudy day of the week. I have been working like in the past couple of days just to be like, okay, this is not in my control.
Yeah.
Whether like I cannot control that at all, but I have a good photographer, and we're doing something exciting. So just kind of trying to look at the positives and then trusting things will work out instead of focusing on like the one major thing that I can't.
Yeah, I love so many good things that you're saying, Samantha. Thank you for sharing that. All right, first of all, let's give Samantha a round of applause. It's like practicing that gratitude that was on that list too. It's like, here are all the things that I can be grateful for. And I love what Samantha was saying. It's like, here's what's within my control. She has a great photographer, she's getting married, right? Like, regardless of what the weather's going to be, there's always ways around it. So it's instead of focusing on what we can't do, it's about what can I do, right? How can I be grateful in this moment? How can I make this moment work? Anybody else have an example to share? I'm sure you do and you just don't want to share. And that's okay too, because you're stressed out about speaking in public. And I don't want you to feel more stressed at a workshop that's supposed to teach you how to be less stressed, okay? So what I do encourage you to do though, and there's some notes on your in your handout as well, is practicing the cognitive reframe. That's the official lingo for it, is practicing the cognitive reframe. Most things are not as bad as we think they are. My husband is a catastrophizer. Anybody know what that is? He gets that from my mother-in-law. What is it?
I can hear you actually.
Oh, excuse me. He's a catastrophizer.
Oh, this guy's
Yes, like it's literally the worst thing that's gonna happen is gonna happen, right? Is that typically true though? No. And then you're worried about it for nothing. Absolutely. This is what I've learned. So a lot of times you've got to coach yourself, or you've got to ask yourself or talk to yourself, that was on the list too, and say, okay, what's the best thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? Because chances are, what really happens is somewhere in the middle, right? And so if you're a catastrophizer, it's okay. It's just how you are wired. But practice the cognitive reframe with that. Learn your thinking patterns, right? Become aware. That's another part of the awareness. Notice your thoughts. Don't judge them. Yes?
I was just going to say, something that gives me a little laugh, and I feel like it's so true, is that we win the games we play. So it's like what we focus on expands. It's like if you want to say that it's some catastrophe pending, well, you get to be right about that. So do you want to be right about that, or do you want to be right about something that actually would serve you or the world?
Yeah.
You know, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's true.
Pause and think about what game am I playing, because I'll probably win that.
Yeah.
I'm that powerful.
Yep, it's true though. I mean, I don't know if any of you know the law of attraction, but that is right there with it, right? What we focus on, we get. So if you're like, oh, yellow car, you're gonna start seeing a yellow car. Now you're all gonna see a yellow car, right? Because it's what you're focused on. So flip the script. Cognitive reframe. Some people are like, oh, well, it's much easier said than done. It's not really that hard. It's just conscious intention behind it. You want to change your life, change your thoughts. It is that simple. And practice neutrality. So again, for those of us who catastrophize and add to our own stress, find the neutral playing ground. If you can't be positive, be neutral. If you can't be positive, be neutral. Right? And then objectivity, really important. I want to just give you a quick little list of long-term strategies to work through as well. So we focused on some of the things that we can do in the moment. Those will get us through. But it's also important to reflect. How many of you wake up in the morning, reflect or set intentions, or reflect at the end of the day? Anybody? It's just a really great way of life. For me, it sets me up for success throughout my day. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, did I align? Did I align with my intentions? Did I align with who I wanted to, make a positive difference on? There's a lot of questions that I'll ask myself, but again, it's part of that reflection that helps us to create that awareness and grow as just a person. And so self-care, we could spend a whole day talking about self-care. It's important. And then asking yourself certain questions. So asking yourself and getting real, what needs to change? Do you maybe need to have a courageous conversation with somebody? Do you maybe need to set more boundaries with your mother-in-law? Releasing and let go. We were talking about this at the table up here. It's really important to be able to stop and say, okay, what do I need to release? What's serving me? What's not serving me? What do I need to intentionally let go? Be intentional for your lives. You only get one. Why are we letting other things dictate how we're feeling and our stress levels? Take control, be intentional, make conscious decisions. And of course, if you're noticing that the stress is getting so much, there's so much negative stress in your life, not just the good stress that's helping to propel you to reach your full potential, but if you're overwhelmed, seek a professional. That is okay too. And remember, it is okay not to be okay and to lean into your stress and make it work for you. Just don't let it overwork you. Don't let it take over you. So I'm going to pause here. Any questions about what we've talked about? No questions? I'm curious, what are you all taking away? I know we talked about stress in 30, 40 minutes. Yes?
How do you suggest when you get stuck in that bad thinking loop? How do you interject in yours?
That's a great question. Before I answer, does anybody have any tips? What's your name?
Megan.
Megan. What do you do when you find yourself in that loop? The loop of stress.
Set a timer.
Yeah, okay.
Give
How does
myself 5 minutes to process it, and then can I change it? Can I not change it? If I can change it, put together the solution and change it. If I can't and it's out of my control, then I have my 5 minutes to stress about it, and then it's gone.
Yeah, good. I love that. So using a timer. Thank you for that, Anita.
I have to say, being spiritual is very important. To go within yourself and just pray.
Yeah.
Just heaviness, pray. I think also it relaxes you.
It's so true. It's just having that faith that there's something bigger that's helping to guide. It can be very beneficial, so thank you for that. Yes.
Go for a walk.
Yeah, so we're going for a walk. Megan, we're going for a walk. Good. We're setting a timer. Did I see another hand? Yes, Lauren?
I meditate.
Okay, meditate, yeah. That could be very helpful. Although I'm not into that foo-foo meditation either, right? Because I'm certified and I teach meditation. Sometimes it can get, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to meditate, right? And it stresses me out even more. So I'm like, that's not helpful. But yes, certainly meditation.
I take a personal self-defense class, and it's really empowering to feel like you just can defend yourself. First of all, the class, you can't think of anything else when you're in there. And you feel so much stronger when you leave, even just the way you walk, the way you carry yourself, and your thoughts kind of fall into place a little better too.
Yeah, and then there's just that element, the physiological element of the exercise, getting everything going that can help. So yeah, just that mindset that you're stronger and you can defend yourself. Excellent, good. Any other tips for Megan? Yes, Amy?
Yeah, something I do is I acknowledge just the question, like self-aware. It shows you're very self-aware. So that's one thing. And and then from there, it's like remembering like what actually happened, who actually said or did something, including myself sometimes, right? Like what did I actually say or do, or what did somebody else say or do, and then what did I make it mean, right? And like kind of distinguishing that we all interpret what actually happened or what was said or done, but that may not actually be the thing. Like our minds, like you were saying, are geared to, basically keep us alive. So we make up a lot of stuff to survive. So then I can sometimes get a laugh out of that. I used to say I should really meditate, and then I don't do that well when I'm stressed personally. So me getting my body outside, similar to the walk, is helpful. But I think kind of just pulling apart what actually happened versus what I make it mean, and then we sometimes suffer over here. And you're not alone.
Oh, no, I know I'm not alone. I asked the question specifically for a reason. I know I'm not alone in this room.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question because we all get in our loops, because we all get in our heads. That's how we're wired, right? So I love all of the tips. What I also want you to do, Megan, is that stress ball that you have in front of you has an elastic band. I want you to take that elastic band and I want you to put it on your wrist.
Yeah, no, I do that one, and we don't want me to do that one.
Okay. So find a mechanism.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm queen of fidgeting.
Yep. So the fidgeting, that was on the list, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can find what works for you.
Yep.
But what I love about what you're saying is that you do have the awareness that you're doing it, right? So number one, awareness, you get into the loop. I want you to pat yourself on the back, number one, when you notice the loop. Because sometimes we don't even notice the loop, right? So then you need to just say, excuse me, should not have yelled earlier this morning. Then I want you to say, how can I reframe it? Because it goes back to the reframing.
Oh, yeah, I do
loop
that constantly.
is the reframing, right? So how else can I see this? How else can I look at it? Another question that I'll ask myself is, what's the positive interpretation of this? You've got to consciously ask yourself, what is the positive interpretation of this? Because again, we go negative. We need to consciously reframe, ask ourselves that question when we notice ourselves in the loop. Yes.
Something that I started doing in the last year is I'll turn on some kind of music and start painting, and the painting can release those emotions, and it just can turn into something that you just don't know.
It's so true. Yeah, so having that creative element, right, having that creative outlet, if you are creative, can absolutely work. So thank you for sharing that as well.
And even
I
if
think
you
also,
don't think
I
you're
have
creative.
something to mention that I think if you are in a loop of stress, you should pause
Yes.
and say, feel gratitude that what do I have that makes me happy?
Yeah.
Just feel the gratitude, and then you'll be relaxed. Like, okay, I have my husband that I love, I have the house that I love, I have whatever. Things that you, like material things that you have. And once you feel the gratitude, I think you feel self-relaxed. That's what I think. I may be wrong. I don't know.
No, you're right on target. Finding the pause, finding the power in the pause is the first thing that we need to do, because that means we have some sort of an awareness.
Right.
And then practicing that gratitude. So I love my husband even though he's in the basement. I'm super grateful for him, right? So it's just finding the things that we can control and finding the positive and reframing.
Right.
So I know that we're at the end of our time, and I don't want to take too much, but if you do have questions for me specifically, I'm happy to chat with you. But I want to thank you again for coming and spending some time. I hope you're able to take at least one little nugget away. And always remember, if your stress is being caused by other people, don't take their monkey, right? So don't let their monkey jump off onto your back. So if your cause of stress is from other people, I really encourage you to look and say, what can I change about this to relieve maybe 20% of my stress? I want you to, you're going back right here, and remember that a diamond is just a piece of charcoal, right? that's handled stress extremely, exceptionally well. And that's what you all can be too. So thanks again for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed our little time together, and I hope to see you again. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Emmy. I thought that was amazing. I certainly learned a lot of good information today. Emmy was here a little earlier, so she saw me a little stressed out early today.
We talked about drinking.
We talked about also, what I learned is I'm truly a diamond in the rough, as you just told me, and I'm okay with that. I will tell you, I had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to go to the celebration, and I had an unusually tough week, so I found axe throwing extremely a great way to relieve my stress. I was exceptionally good at it, and my friends were a little worried about it, but it was a lot of fun. I loved a lot of the tips that you all shared. Thank you, Emmy. I thought it was great. I can tell you, I thought when I walked in this, when she put the balls and the little elastics on it, I said, I'm definitely taking that home with me, and I put a smiley face on mine already. So I'm reframing mine already. So thank you for a great job today. So what's next? That's what I want to talk a little bit about. So one of the things that we want you to take with you is you have a pink calendar of events. In the front is the dates for the upcoming BFF events that we have till now until December. But I want to talk about what's going to happen for the next 2 months. So on June 14th, we're actually going to be going to the DoubleTree Hotel. And then in September, we'll be back at our original home, which is at Cyprian Keys Golf Club. But I wanted to mention, has anybody heard the expression, it's a wine o'clock somewhere out there, right? Has anybody ever heard that? Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies, that our next guest speaker started her own business with that exact theory, and right in the middle of the pandemic, and has been in high demand since then with her retro wine camper called the Wyona. Our guest speaker is a Northborough native and business entrepreneur, Julia Walderzak of the Decanted Wine Truck. Did anybody read about her 2 years ago? She literally took a camper and turned it into a wine truck on wheels. And it's been a year later since her business, and she's going to come back and talk about her journey and what she's learned about that. And word has it, she's being featured in a Boston Wine magazine in another month. So she really took something that she had a love for and knew in the back of her head that she was going to do something with this one day. And the pandemic also gave her an opportunity to make it happen. So we're going to hear a little bit more about her story. And then back by popular demand, and this is going to be in August 9th, we are heading back to the patio at Tavolino's restaurant. We did it a year ago. We had a heck of a good time. We had a good showing, and it's our BFF Summer Social. So we hope you'll put that on your calendar for August 9th. So 2 definite programs that have already been confirmed. Calendar events is with you to take. We're working on our guest speakers over the summer. But I will also wanted to mention to you that there's some chamber events coming up that I hope you won't miss. Next week, May 19th is our annual meeting. It's going to be at the DoubleTree Hotel from 7:15 to 9:30 a.m. I'm very, very excited to announce that Liz Bruner is our guest speaker. She is the former co-anchor on Channel 5 in Boston. She also started her own business called Bruner Communications, but she wrote a book called Dare to Own You, and what that means is to have success in the next chapter of your life. So she's coming early to sign books and sell her books and stay afterwards to do the same. And we're very, very proud to be able to present our 2022 awards for business and leadership achievements to many of our members. So this truly is one of those preeminent business gatherings of the year. The most respected business leaders in the region will be attending the event. I hope that includes all of you too. So that's May 19th at the DoubleTree Hotel. Also, this morning we sent out a little update. Our free webinar for our members on leadership in the new world got rescheduled from tomorrow till May 24th. There's definitely time to still sign up. And for our young professionals in the room, that means you're 21 to 45, excludes me. I went once, I was called a babysitter. I didn't really I never went again. I I had to go because there was nobody there to do it once, and I'm like, please don't call me a chaperone, because I'm not. So, but they're gonna be at the Red Heat Tavern in Westboro on May 24th from 5 to 7 p.m. And then a couple of things to think about. We do have our annual School Business Partnership Golf Tournament on June 16th. It's one of our sellout events. It's at Juniper Hills Golf Course. It's open to anybody that wants to attend. A portion of those proceeds is what supports our scholarship program. But for all of you who want to learn how to play golf and have never tried before, the best example I can give is our co-chair of, our chair of the chamber and our co-founder of BFF. She tried for the first time 2 years ago and fell in love with it, and now she plays golf on a regular basis. Not as much as she'd like to, but she's definitely a big fan of it. So we had a lot of new people join us last year. That is on the front page of our annual ladies golf outing and tournament clinic. It's not a golf tournament. It's a day of camaraderie with a lot of women. If you'd like to learn how to play golf, if you're good at golf, great. If you're not, come anyways. It's a great day. It's only 9 holes of golf, 9 holes of golf, and we play. We have clinic in the morning, and then we'll have a nice lunch, and then lots of prizes and a lot of fun. So we hope you'll put that on your calendar too. Very excited to be back on a regular basis with our Business Forward Females program. Looking forward to doing more of these. Like I said, next month we're at the DoubleTree. We'll be at Cyprian Keys in the fall. And I want to thank you all. I hope you feel a lot of that stress relief today. I definitely do when I came in, and mostly because it's all of you. I get so much joy when we get together each month. So have a wonderful day, ladies. Thank you so much. And speaking of wine, thank you for doing a little networking activity. Thank you for, and who's the winner? Laura? Oh, your pick. Okay. Okay, and the winner is Anna LeDuc. Thanks for the coffee. You go home with the wine. Ladies, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, can we get a group photo? We'd love to. And thank you, Laura, for reminding me.
Do you want to write against this?